The following is a presentation of Kamehameha Schools, Bernice Pauahi Bishop Estate.
Aloha mai kako and ahoa makawaka o ka'olelo Hawaii. Welcome to Kulāiwi. This is the 17th in a series of 24 Hawaiian language lessons sponsored by Kamehameha Schools, Bishop Estate, in collaboration with the State Department of Education. I'm Ikelakani Alpi Okroger, and I'll be your kumu for today. And today we have a very interesting vignette. We're going to the graduation party of Kunane, and we'll be learning a few more phrases. But before we get to that, I want to remind you that, I know it's getting more pa'akiki, but don't give up, okay? For whatever you can get out of the hour, that's what's important. Not what you cannot get, but what you can get. So stick with us, hang in there, ask questions, which reminds me that you can call the hotline, the Kulāiwi hotline, if you have any questions. And no question is too hupo, okay, too stupid. You can always ask, okay, and then I can tell you if it was hupo or not. Nah, aole. But just ask your questions so that we can get it clear, and then you can use it or practice with me. But call 842-8059, 842-8059, okay, and ask your question, leave your comments or your concerns. Make sure you leave your name and your number. Go slowly so we can make sure we call the right house, okay? And if you want to try to practice leaving your number in Hawaiian, that's my ka'i too. But I remember once somebody called and they left their number in Hawaiian. And it was hilarious. I mean, by the time we finished, there were like about 24 digits, and this person either lived on Mars or didn't know their phone number. Okay, so go slow. If you want to do it in Hawaiian, go slow. Make sure, you don't repeat. Don't do this like, Eva, Elima, Eono. No. Eono, Elima, and Eva. Okay, don't do that. Okay, just start from the beginning and give me the number. Because that's my ka'i to practice, okay? And it's okay. It just tests me where I'm going with you. So leave your name, your number, and if you would like to receive lessons for this show, leave your address also. Make sure you're clear when you leave it, and please leave us the zip code so we don't have to look it up in the phone book, okay? And you can't just say Ever Beach and think we just know the zip code, okay? So please leave a complete address and we'll be more than happy to send you the lessons, okay? If you're interested in purchasing copies of Kulāiwi, you can always call 842-8876, 842-8876, and leave your name and your address and say exactly what you want. If you missed lessons 1 through 12 and you're beginning to realize, I should have watched lessons 1 through 12, those are also available to you too, okay? Okay, so I'll tell you what, right now, let's go to our interview, where our interview this morning is with Dwayne Steele, who's the president of Grace Pacific. And he speaks Hawaiian. He started to learn Hawaiian kind of late in his life, but like I always say, it's never too late. At whatever time you decide that it's time for you to learn, that's my ka'i, because the worst thing that you can do is say, I hate it when I see all these people learning Hawaiian, well, you can always do something about that. So here we have Dwayne Steele, who actually went back to school and started to learn Hawaiian language, and now is able to speak Hawaiian and practices. And he also is a great contributor to the perpetuation of Hawaiian language. And so without any more vala'au, let's take a look at our interview. Aloha. So I'd like to introduce you to Nakila. Dwayne Nakila Steele. Aloha mai.
Ai, aloha no.
E he oi.
Oh, mai ka ino wau.
Yeah.
A
Ale
ke he
halu.
oi.
Mai kai. Mahalo. Ai, kakahi aka nui ke ia.
Ai,
Ai.
ale nui ki.
Ia, ale nui. Polo leipa. Pono vau e ho'omaka kakahi aka nui. Ho'omaka o kau no ke ia. Ia, po nei ua hele vau I ka paani po pailima o ke kula nui. Ua lea lea no. Ai. So hea kauhana ki ia kakahi aka.
Well, hele no wau.
O hele polo lei ia ane e. Ua mahalo ia oi.
Ma hopi o ke ia proklama. Hele ana no maua o Ron Poi Poi. E ike ka spelling bee.
O ai polo lei. Ka ho'okuku hua o lelo.
O a kuku.
Ai, mai kai. No hea mai oi.
Ma ward.
No hea mai oi.
O no he.
Ai.
I ke ia maula.
Oh, hiki no, I ke ia maula. Hiki no.
No he uau.
Oh.
E he ku mea au I noho ai.
Ai,
Au I
hiki no.
noho ai.
Yeah, mahia.
O nuu anu.
Manu uanu.
Manu uanu.
Oh, and he keiki kau, ai? Wa he keiki li'i kau ke ia manao.
Ai,
Ai.
he ki e hiku.
Oh, e hiku
O
ana
nuu anu.
makahiki.
Ai.
Ai, aka he mau keiki e a e kau ke kahi.
E hiku mau ki.
Oh, e hiku mau keiki. Oh, pa'ahana no hoi oi. No, Leila, maybe we could talk stories so we can share with our viewers how you were inspired by Hawaiian language, where it all started.
Well, I came to Hawaii in 1956 and was aware in those days that people at that time that were the age that I am now, at least the Hawaiians were all fluent in their language, in the Hawaiian language. But it seemed to me that the children weren't learning. But I guess you asked me, how did I get interested? I got interested because I realized that I was going to live in Hawaii, and it seemed to me important to be a part of the islands and a part of the people that lived here.
And when you moved here, you moved to Kahuku, you said.
Well, we went right from the airport to Kahuku.
Yeah, so it wasn't like you had moved to a place where, no one was speaking Hawaiian. There was
I heard Hawaiian, and also the music and the people getting together and having entertainment in the evening. And most of the music was, played and sung in the Hawaiian language.
And a lot of times that's what inspires people to learn Hawaiian is the music. They want to know what it means, and because it sounds so beautiful.
Yeah, and that was part of what led me to be interested in the Hawaiian language.
Yeah, and you talked about visiting other parts of Polynesia and realizing that they still were able to maintain their language.
Yeah, I worked a year in Samoa in 1962 and a year in Guam in 1965, and that was my observation. Is you go and spend time there and compare what's different between Samoa and Hawaii, what's different between Guam and Hawaii. And the one thing that was clear was it seemed to me that Hawaii was losing its language.
Although it was building up in another way. We talked about this too, that on one hand, the language was being lost, on the other hand, Hawaii was growing. And I think today we're realizing that that was totally unnecessary. We could have brought both up at the same time.
Yeah.
So you went back to school to learn Hawaiian, and
in 1990, 91, I said I'm going to learn the language before I die.
And the deal was that you started in 102 because you thought you could jump into 102.
Right.
Yeah, and how was that? What was that?
Well, I did,
like?
but I found that I didn't know as much as I thought I did.
But what was the experience like going back to school, learning Hawaiian, being involved in Hawaiian language on the university level?
Well, I recognized that I was much older than the rest of the students there, but it didn't seem to me that was a particular problem. Ultimately, if I behaved like a student, they treated me like a student.
And I talked about that too, that your ano is so open that it allows for people to just want to be olu to you, that it's not,
Well, maybe so, but I think that's a Hawaiian trait.
Yeah, polole. So, you went on to, how many years did you go through?
Well, I took 3 years, and then a couple of translation classes.
That's
And
where
I
I think
kept-
Paul was in.
Yeah, that's right.
My husband was
Yeah,
in
that's
class.
right. Was in Ruby Johnson's
Aye.
translation
Yeah,
class. Yeah.
yeah.
I don't remember the number, but it. And I kept trying to take 4th year Hawaiian, but it never did work.
Well, being the chairman of the board of Grace Pacific, and and now a trustee for Punahou, I think that keeps you really busy. But on the other hand, it's so funny because Nakila asked, well, why did I invite him? I invited him because I want our viewers to know that Hawaiian language is not locked in to just teachers and students and children, that so many other people are learning Hawaiian. We're talking, people at a higher level. And I know you real ha-ha about this, but I need to play this up because I think it's important that our viewers understand that Hawaiian language is not just small ka'ai, but there we have whips taking Hawaiian and able to speak Hawaiian, and in a very beautiful way able to support the Hawaiian language. And I'd like you to share, if you don't mind, the kinds of support that you've given to Hawaiian language.
Well, what I really found when I went back to university, to my great delight, is that it was the Hawaiian people themselves that were deciding, hey, I want to learn my language, which I think is a language of Hawaii, not just a language of people who have Hawaiian ancestry, and think it should be. And when I saw that, I thought, well, gee, here, this is a movement that deserves support at whatever level it can be. So I've supported it in what way I can, and have begun anyway in seeking greater support from the business community and from the community at large. We've worked with the Ahahui Olelo Hawaii, which is an association that was begun by teachers of the language, and reaches out to anybody that's interested in the language and learning the language and in its use and whatever. And through that, they've set up an office now, an office of resources that can be called by anybody that has any question regarding the Hawaiian language.
We're going to have Liana on one
good.
weekend so she can talk about that office.
And the phone number is Kaulike.
Right, kaulike. Whatever those letters are on your phone, that's what it is. K-A-U-L-I-K-A. Kaulike. Aye.
So any questions, anybody should call her and get that.
Translations, anything where you can get information about language, resources and things like that. Yeah, she can give you help.
Right.
So that's
Also, we've
one
been
thing that you've
interested
supported.
in publishing, and we're just beginning to turn out some books. So the McGuire Huakaia Kapi'olani, the journal that James McGuire made when he accompanied Kapi'olani to England for the Queen's Jubilee in 1887. That's now in print again.
Yes, and it's a beautiful book.
And Kamakau's work will be in print soon.
my God.
And looking forward to more publications.
My ka'i. Yeah, and also Kaleo Hawaii. That plays from 7 to 8
7 to 8
on
Sunday.
KCCN.
Yeah, Sunday
evenings,
evening
right?
on KCCN.
We want to push all of these things. So when you hear
That's right.
Grace Pacific, there's really a man behind all of that. When you hear Grace Pacific sponsored a Hawaiian language thing, it's because we're fortunate that the chairman of the board happens to be a Hawaiian language speaker. So we scored, the Hawaiian language community scored with you. And I'd like to say beyond that, mahalo for all you've done for us and for just being a great friend in Hawaiian language, and for coming out this morning and sharing with us your story. Because I'm sure it's inspired a lot of people who are sitting at home saying, well, if Nakila can, I can. Do you have anything you would like to share before we close?
Not really, just that thought for me that it is possible. And though I feel like I'm just beginning the journey and have a long ways to go, I lived most of my life not not speaking, not understanding Hawaiian. At least I'll die with the knowledge of
Yeah,
Hawaiian.
pololi. O maki wau mahalo nui aku ia oe.
Ai mahalo wā nui ko kono mai.
O aole ke mea li'i ke ia mamua o kou hele ana mai. So maki wau mahalo nui ia oe. Ke kua pume oe.
Ai.
Mahalo nui Dwayne Steele for coming that day and sharing with us his contributions to the Hawaiian language and how at the late stage he did decide to learn Hawaiian language, that he's still continuing, and that's what we need. I know there's one uncle up in Papakoleo who watches Kulāiwi, and he says, I don't know if I can get this, but I encourage you to just stick with it, because whatever you can get, it's better than not having anything at all. So remember that. Okay, let's go check out our graduation party. Let's see what's happening there. This will be le'a, I promise. We have good music once again. I said that in our last lesson, and I have but I promise this time you're going to get to see the graduation party. And you want to listen to those things that we've already been going through in lessons 13, 14, 15, 16. Okay, remember this is number 17. And so we've learned a lot of different patterns, and you're going to hear them once again in this vignette. And so you want to pay attention not only to the words that you're hearing, but make sure that you put the words with the gestures, with the expressions, with the situation that's happening at the moment. And just sit back, relax, enjoy. Okay, and I'll see you as soon as it's pau. Ahui ho.
Alo nui pehea oe.
O mai kai a oe. He mea nui ka puka ana. He hakau hana I kia manawa.
Kia kau vela, e hana ana wau ma explorations ma ka mea meha. A mahopi o ke la, e hele ana wau I ke kula nui ka iapuni.
Ke kula nui ka iapuni?
Ai ama wai manalo.
O vai nā kumu, he aha nā ano papa.
He mau kumu Hawaii lako apau, loia lako I nā kumuhana o like ole. Ki ake aka mai, ka make makika, ka pili kanaka, a pela wale aku. A e noho ana wau ma ka hale noho haumana ma o.
Hiki no, make au e hele pū.
Ai, hiki no. Aloha ka ua.
Aloha.
Mahalo no ko hele ana mai.
No ka hau oli. Mai kai ke ia paina. Pehea he ho'okani pila kau.
Ai, he pila kau e ho'okani pila kako.
He ka se, ka wha, ka se e hiku. A ka mai.
O e kala mai o kia ko o ana kala o kaipo. O ke la ko o hoa aloha o ke koa,
Ai,
o ke
aloha.
la o ke ave. Ua hele pū maua o ke ave I ka punana leo. A ka ua ne'e oia I Maui a ua noho wau ma Honolulu nei.
No leila, ua pukupu oi kia makahiki.
Ai, mai ke kula kai puni o paia.
Mai kai ke la. Hele puana oi ke kula nui me kunane.
Ai, noho puana mau I ka hale noho haumana.
We, he nui no ka lea.
Ai,
Ua lava paha ka wala au. Kani ka pila kako.
ai, o wai ke mele?
Pehea o kuuhoa.
Ai, hiki no. Mahalo. Pehea oko?
Oia mau no. No maluhi ki keiki. No ka mea ua au kai oia I ka ia la.
Oia, ka laki no oko. Ai hea kona kai kaina o lei ohu.
Hele mea na oia mahape me kana ipo.
Oia?
He kane olu oia no hono ka amai. Oi kone ino? Mama, oi kone ino?
Oi?
O ka le ohu ipo.
Malulani kone ino.
Malulani.
Pololi oi?
E ai oko, e ka mea inu mao, e ka mea ai mahopi o ka hale. Ono loa ka lu au hee, ua hana o tutu.
Oia. Mahalo e iki ana mako ia oi.
Ai, hiki no. Aloha e tutu.
Aloha e kunane, e noho pu mea u. Make au e kamailia me oi. Pehea, ua lawa ka mea ai.
Ai, ua lava pono no. E mahalo nui e tutu.
No kia.
No kia paina.
E kunane, aloha nui au ia oi. O oi, ku umo o puna mua I puka mai ke kula kaya puni. Haaheo loa au ia oi. A o oi, ka mea kokua nui iau e malama ia pua lei lau o ke alohi. Mahalo nui au ia oi.
Oh, so sweet, yeah. Okay, well, hopefully you understood the idea that was going on there. But if not, like I said, we get to see this vignette 4 times, and hopefully by the 4th time, on next lesson, we'll be able to get it down and understand everything that's going on. So let's start with some vocab that you heard in there, okay? The first being apelaku, apelaku. Okay, and this means and so forth, like etc., 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 okay? Pelaku and so forth. Au kai, to swim, okay? To swim. Au, perhaps you hear the word, like you heard growing up. Go au, okay? Go au. And that means go bathe, aye? But au, in this case, it's actually to swim, okay? Au. And I think I spoke about this before, that if you don't say the word au right, for I, and you say au, then you end up with swim. So even just one au is swim. So au, a reduplication of the word, more swimming, okay? No, it just means swim. Au kai, to say that you swam where? In the kai, in the ocean, versus au vai, swimming in fresh water, okay? Ikino. Kahale noho haumana. Kahale noho haumana. Okay, this is kind of a long word, but if you take a look at what it says, take the pieces of it, I think it'll make sense to you. Okay, so I give you a chance to think about this. Kahale noho haumana. Okay, so the house where students live, a dorm. Okay, another word for dorm. The Hawaiian word for dorm. Thank you. Kahale noho haumana. Okay, haumana means student, right? And noho meaning to live or to reside, okay? So a house where students reside, kahale noho haumana, a dorm. So those of you who go to UH, maybe you live in kahale noho haumana o Johnson, kahale noho haumana o Freer, okay? Or kahale noho haumana o Noelani, all right? So like that, that's the dorm. Hikino, onwards to our next word, and that's kama'ilio. Kama'ilio, conversation, okay, or to converse, okay, kama'ilio. Kamake makika, if you look at it, you probably think, oh, that means to kill mosquitoes. Okay, no, it doesn't mean to kill mosquitoes. It's the word for mathematics, okay, see it? Matematika, makika, okay. Never mind, that was a real junk joke, but that's okay. If it was funny, thank you. Okay, kamake makika, the math class. Kapili kanaka, these are subject areas, Kamake makika math, kapili kanaka, social studies. How do you get that? Pili, things that relate to what? Kanaka, to humans, okay, social studies. Hikino. Keake akamai, This is the word for science. Perhaps you've heard the word epikema. That's another word, epikema. Okay, but kia kamai, science. Okay, next word is kika. Kika is guitar. Okay. Okay, kalamai. Vala'au. I think Anakala Kaipo says lava kavala'au, yeah, and I think we heard that in our other vignette too when Kunani says lava kavala'au, yeah, enough talk story. And so vala'au is to talk story. You know, we have a lot of words that mean to talk or to converse, and they're all different kind. Like kama'ilio is a conversation between two people. Vala'au is to just, you know, like how sisters do or brothers do when you get together. You just vala'au, okay, talk story. And then there's olelo, to actually talk. And then there's ha'i olelo, to give a speech. So all different kinds, yeah, and you cannot mix them all up. There's certain times to use different ones. Okay. What I'd like to go over now, if you're following along with your lessons, you're going to find this at the end of your lesson. These are different time phrases, okay? So you might want to check this out with me. Ikeia manava. Ikeia manava. We've had Ikeia po in this set of lessons, and that meant tonight. Well, Ikeia manava means now. And how do we get now out of Ikeia manava? Well, let's take a look at it. I keia manava, keia meaning this, manava meaning time, at this time. If it's at this time, that means it's now, okay? I keia manava. Say that with me, I keia manava. Make sure we say keia and not keia, yeah? Keia, no okina in between the A and the E, so it's keia, maikai. This summer, I keia kauvela, I keia kauvela. This year, I keia makahiki. Ikeia makahiki, okay? You see how simple this is? If you wanted to say this week and the word for week is pule, yeah, how would you say this week? Ikeia pule. Hikino? See how easy that is? Okay. What if it was this month and the word for month is the same word for moon, which is mahina? Then you would say Ikeia mahina, maikai. Okay, another time phrase. Iku'uva kamali'i. Iku'uva kamali'i. Hikino? This one is probably a little difficult, but kamali'i refers to what? Child. Right? So childhood times, iku'uva kamali'i, in my childhood times. Okay, a va is a period of time. So this va kamali'i is a childhood period of time. Okay, so in my childhood, it can even be translated loosely as when I was small, when I was little. Okay, iku'uva kamali'i. Iku'uva kamali'i. Hikino. And then our last time phrase is mahope. Okay, let's take a look at this. You may remember we used mahope as meaning behind or in back of. Yeah, but mahope it can also be used for later. Okay, later. So, in fact, I remember when growing up, I would hear people say, "Oh, mahape, mahape," yeah, for later. And I used to think, mahape, what is that? And as I learned, you know, it's just another pronunciation of mahope. Okay, we would never write mahape, but we can say it. Okay, just like some people say maape, maape instead of mahope. Okay, so. You might want to remember that, yeah, when somebody tells you they want something, and you could easily say, mahope, okay? And they turn around and tell you, ole ikeia manava, okay? So, see, that's why time phrases are really perfect to know, okay? Let's review the future tense pattern. Do you remember that? When we had, how do you encase your actions so that you can put it into the future tense, or you can make it happening right now and going on. Anyway, inana kako, okay? E hana anau ma explorations. E hana anau ma explorations. I think Lawae asks Kunane, what are you going to do this summer? Ya heha kauhana ikeia kauvela. Heha kauhana ikeia kauvela. And he says, E hana anau ma explorations. Right here we see what gives us, what makes it in the future, okay? We put this, yeah, whoa, okay. I don't have too much control over this pen here. All right. When we put e ana around our action, we put it into what tense? Into the future tense, okay? Into something that's going to happen. all right? So in this case, I'm going to work at Explorations, okay? You ever heard, some of you may be sitting there going, what is that, Explorations? Okay, Explorations is a program at Kamehameha Schools. It's a great program if you're in the 5th grade. And at the end of 5th grade, you can go into this program called Explorations. It's a 1-week boarding program at Kamehameha, and you get to learn Hawaiian culture and Hawaiian songs and Hawaiian values. And it's just a lot of fun and a lot of learning going on at the same time. So all of you keiki out there, if you're going to be in 5th grade pretty soon and you want to go to Explorations, make sure you tell your mama and your papa to kele pona Kamehameha and get an application, okay? Anyway, plug for Explorations. It's a good program. Okay, let's go on to another example of using e ana, and that's e hele ana au ike kula nui. E hele ana au ike kula nui. I think he says, and later, amahope e hele ana au ike kula nui. Okay, and then I'm going to the university. Okay, remember having kula nui before? Okay. E noho pū ana maua makahale noho haumana. Okay, e noho pū ana maua makahale noho haumana. So, we've had this before. We had what happens when we put pū into the sentence in back of the action, we have together, okay? So, us two, me and somebody, okay, I think this is Kunane saying, me and Kekoa are going to stay together in the dorm, okay? E noho pū ana maua makahale noho haumana. E noho pū ana maua makahale noho haumana. You see this ma, at, yeah? We're using ma for at, okay? E hele mai ana oia mahope me kunane. E hele mai ana oia mahope me kunane. Okay, he's going to come when? Later with kunane. Me, remember that means with. We had this in our last lesson. Yeah, me. In this case, it's with kunane. Okay. E ike ana mako ya oi. Okay. This is when I think Nohea is leaving with her baby and her kane, and they're walking away, and she says to him, "E ike ana mako ya oi." Okay, we'll be seeing you. We'll see you. Yeah, she could say, "E ike ana mako ya oi mahope." We'll see you later. Okay, once again in the future tense, ike being your action. Yeah, you see, if you take out the e ana, then you have ike mako ya oi. It's still a sentence, okay? But what happens is it doesn't tell you when this is going to happen, okay? You just say, ike mako ya oi, then it says, we'll see you, okay? We'll see you. But if you want to say, we will see you, yeah, in the future, later on, we're going to see you later, e ike ana mako ya oi. Then we use the e ana. Now, in a previous lesson, I did say that once you've established the context, and the time that you're talking about, you can begin to leave it off. Yeah, so you don't have to keep on repeating e something ana. Okay, you can just use the action because we've already set the stage. Now, what we haven't had is how do we say things in the past tense? Okay, we start off our sentence with ua. Okay, let's take a look. Inana kako. Ua hele maua I ka punana leo. Ua hele maua I ka punana leo. Hikino, we went where? To the punana leo. Ua hele mako I ka punana leo. Hikino, kalamai. Ua hele maua I ka punana leo. So you see we put this ua in front of our action, and that puts us in the past, okay? So we went, yeah? We went to punana leo, okay? Once again, let me point out, if you're tuning in for the very first time and you're watching Kulāiwi and you're wondering, how do verb sentences come together? Remember that the basic thing is that in Hawaiian, the action is the most important. And so we always start off with the action, okay? And that's why we start the sentence off with hele. Then comes who's doing it. Hele maua, me and somebody else, okay? And remember that all the pronouns that end in u-a are only two people, okay? Hele maua I ka punana leo. So ua hele maua I ka punana leo, we stick that ua in front of the action, it's in the past, right? We went. Ua hele maua I ka punana leo. Okay, let's take a look at another la'ana, another example. Ua ne'e oia I Maui. Ua ne'e oia I Maui. Okay? My baby, she likes this word ne'e. I think it's because it's easy to say, yeah? Ne'e. Of course, she always wants us to be moving, that's why. He says here, he moved to Maui. Okay, he moved to Maui. Ua ne'e oia I Maui. Okay, let's say something a little bit about this, and that's, remember in our last lesson we talked about ho'o in front of words, yeah? Now, ne'e is to move oneself, but if I put ho'o in front of that, ho'o ne'e, that's to cause something to move, yeah? Then that would be to move something, ho'o ne'e, okay? So that's where you gotta be real careful about which one you choose to use, because you'll look up to move, and they might give you the word ne'e and they'll give you the word ho'o ne'e, but you have to know which one you want. If you're moving yourself, yeah, that's ne'e. But if you're going to move something, ho'o ne'e. Okay? Cool, yeah? Yeah, got all these little things that you can do to words to make them more more interesting, actually more applicable, yeah? Because we actually here we want to say he moved to Maui. So what do we start with? We start off with the action, and it's in the past, so we start with ua. Ua ne'e, and who did it? Ua ne'e oia, where? I Maui, okay? To Maui. Remember that I and ia mean to, depending on what it's in front of, okay? Hikino. Let's take another look at another example. Ua noho au ma Honolulu nei. Ua noho au ma Honolulu nei. Okay, give you a chance to think about what this is. Ua noho au ma Honolulu nei. I lived in Honolulu here, or I stayed in Honolulu. And what Kunane is talking about is, ua ne'e oia I Maui. He went to Maui. He moved to Maui, and ua noho au ma Honolulu nei. Okay, now let's talk about the word nei. Okay, some of us like to use nei because it sounds so Hawaiian, so we say things like, oh, you know, in Honolulu nei or hilo nei, okay, but you have to know when to use it. You can only put nei in the back of the place when you're talking about when you're there, okay? So I cannot say, oh yeah, noho wau ma hilo nei and I'm in Honolulu, okay? You have to be in the place to say nei, because nei gives you the mana'o of here. Okay, so Honolulu here, ma Honolulu nei, okay? Ua noho au ma Kauai nei. Well, that means I would have to be in Kauai to say that, okay? Nei. Of course, you leave it out, yeah, and then you don't have to worry at all, okay? But this, of course, is one of those things that makes you sound like you really know how to speak Hawaiian, okay? And you just stick this in, and after your place name, if you're in that place, okay? So if you wanted to say something like, I live in Kalihi, and you're standing in Kalihi, yeah? Noho wau ma Kalihi nei. Okay, you get the idea. Lava. Okay? Ua puka pu oi. Ua puka pu oi, okay? You graduated also. Remember that he's not saying you are also a whole, okay? That's not what it's saying. It's saying you also graduated, okay? Ua puka pu oi. Okay, I think actually that was a question. Ua puka pu oi, did you graduate too? Okay. Ua au au kai mākou. Ua au au kai mākou. It says, we, what? We had this word up in the new vocab. We swam, mai kai. Ua hana o tutu. Ua hana o tutu. Yeah? Tutu made it in this case. Okay, somebody says, who made the food? Or who prepared the food, and Kunani says, oh, ua hana o tutu. Ua hana o tutu. Hikino? And remember that when we're using someone's name, and that's the subject of the sentence, that's who did it, then we're going to mark it with this o, okina o, okay? And just a little word about okina, so that you can remember how okina are written. They're written like little sixes, okay? Or they're written in the shape of the C. They're not umlauts, they're not accents, so you don't just slash them, you know. There's a certain way to write your okina, and maybe I'm just real sticky about that, but you know, I always think that if you're going to write it down, then we should write it properly, okay? And that's why we make sure that we find a way to put in all of our kahako and our okina when we're showing you this, and not tell you, oh, there's supposed to be a kahako on top there. That happens when I make a mistake. And yes, I make mistakes. Okay, next one. Ua lava ka mea ai. Now this, we're seeing ua being used with a stative verb, okay? Once again, what are stative verbs? Stative verbs, it tells you how something how something is, okay? In this case, it's saying that the food is enough, okay? And I think actually Tutu asks Kunane, ua lava ka mea ai? And he says, ai ua lava no, okay? She says, oh, was there enough food? Ua lava ka mea ai? Okay, so there should be a question mark. Ua lava ka mea ai? Okay, and he says, ai ua lava ka mea ai? Yeah, there's enough food, okay? So you see now, you may be wondering, well, why would you have an ua in front of that kind of verb? Because in Hawaiian, these kinds of words like enough, good, maikai, are verbs, okay? And so what tense are they in? They're completed actions, okay? The food is enough, okay? It's not enoughing, it's not will be enough, it's enough. So it's completed action. Ua lava ka mea ai, okay? Let's take another look at another la'ana, another example. Ua mai ka'i ke keiki. Ua mai ka'i ke keiki, okay? The child is what? Fine, okay? Ua mai ka'i ke keiki. Ikino, okay? So what I really want you to understand is that ua puts things in the past, or ua shows completed action, okay? So in this case, the child is fine. Yeah, it could mean the child was fine, but probably within the context of your conversation, you know, you can understand whether it is or was, okay? Ikino. Ua pau ka uhana. Ua pau ka uhana. My work is pau. Okay? Now we're going to go into a different pattern, and this pattern is called equationals, which means that one side of the sentence is same as the other side. Okay? So we'll take a quick look at this. This is when Kunani is introducing his uncle to everyone, and he says, "O ko'u anakala keia." You see? O ko'u anakala keia. Anakala, another word for uncle. Maybe we should talk about that. We don't really have a word for uncle in Hawaiian. There's not that kind of relationship in a Hawaiian family, okay? And you may be thinking, what do you mean there's not that kind of relationship in a Hawaiian family? We all have uncles. Okay, well now we call them uncle. But in the past, ikawa kahiko, yeah, a long time ago, your father's brother or your mother's brother, your uncles, what we call them now, were really considered your makuakane, your father. All of that line, your parents' lines, were parents, were makua to you. And so there wasn't this distinction between uncle and auntie. Kalamai, there was a distinction between uncle and auntie. There wasn't the distinction between uncle and father, okay, or auntie and mother. Oh boy, it's definitely fit right in my mouth. Okay, let me start again, all right? Maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I should just go on where I was at. Okay, the makua is parent, and that parent line would be considered, all your uncles, all your aunties would be makua, okay? So that's why we have a word that sounds real English, like anakala and anake for auntie or uncle, okay? And I just wanted to mention that in case you were wondering, okay? O ko'u anakala keia. This is my uncle, inana kako. Okay, this is my uncle, o ko'u anakala keia. And you can always switch it around, o keia, ku'u mau ho'aloha, okay? Once again, here we have the word ku'u meaning my. And remember that we use ku'u for things that we have affection for, yeah? O keia ku'u mau ho'aloha. These are my friends, okay? We don't make this part plural because this part is the plural part. What is this mo in here? This is how we make the noun plural, okay? Mau. Mo makes things plural without giving meaning. Now you may be thinking, well, what happened to na? Remember I taught you na is the word for the when we want to make something plural. That's it. Na means the. It has meaning, where mo doesn't have meaning, okay? It's called the pluralizer, okay? Kind of like the Terminator. This is the pluralizer, okay? It goes in and it kind of like adds an S to the noun, okay? So instead of having ku'u ho'aloha, my friend, we have ku'u mau ho'aloha, my friends, okay? So you introduce your friends, you go, okeia ku'u mau ho'aloha, okay? These are my friends. Hikino. Okeave ku'u ho'aloha. Okeave ku'u ho'aloha. Okay. What is this? Keave is my friend. Okay. And you see why they're called equational? Because this is the same as this. Who's Keave? Oh, he's my friend. Who's your friend? Keave. Okay. It's the same. Okay. Keave o keave ku'u ho'aloha. And these kinds of sentences always start with okina o. Okay. Okay. Our last one, is this our last one? Yeah. O'oi ku'u mo'opuna mua. This is when Tutu is telling Kunane all these things that he is, you know. O'oi ku'u mo'opuna mua. You are my first, yeah, mua meaning first, my first mo'opuna, my first grandchild, okay? O'oi kamea kokua nui. That's another thing that she says to him. O'oi kamea kokua nui. You are the big helper. You are the greatest help to me. Okay, so these are different things. And you want to listen to that last part between Tutu and Kunane, because there they have a conversation with each other. And she's using a lot of this pattern. So junkyard when you have to tear apart their conversation and talk about it in terms of patterns. But listen for that. Listen to what she's saying, because she uses these lines. O'oi ku'u mo'opuna mua I puka mai ke Kulāiwi puni. O'oi ka mea kokua nui ia'u e mālama ia ke alohi me pualei. Yeah? And you know, sometimes we may not get the whole sentence, the whole conversation, but that's not what's important. What's important as far as, you may not get it as far as being able to say it back, but what you may get is the ability to comprehend what's being said. And that is always the first step in learning a language. It's that ability to understand what's going on, okay? Last one, okay? Owai kemele, owai kemele. This is an example of a question. Using the equational. What song? Okay, what song? Owai kemele. Owai ko'inoa. This is the very first equational sentence that you learn. Okay, what's your name? What's your name? Okay. O ekela ko'uinoa. Owai ko'inoa. O ekela ko'uinoa. My name is Ekela. Okay. Hikino. So just to make sure that we got all of this down, let's take a look at our vignette again and see how much more you understand. Oh, and I hope you understand a lot more after we went through this, okay? Remember that you want to know everything. Of course, we all want to know everything that's going on in the vignette. But like anything else, you're going to, when you put yourself into a situation where everybody's speaking Hawaiian, you won't understand everything. But if you follow along with Kulāiwi and you start to listen to the lessons and start to understand words and patterns, and that's the key, is listening for the patterns, everything becomes clearer and clearer, and you'll get better and better, and pretty soon you'll be able to speak, okay? So, lava kavala'au, let's take a look at our vignette, okay? We hope.
Mahalo nui, pehea oe.
O mai kai a oe, he mea nui ka puka ana. He hakau hana I kia manawa.
I kia kauvela, e hana ana wau ma explorations ma kamehameha, a mahopi o ke la, e hele ana wau I ke kula nui kaiapuni.
Ke kula nui kaiapuni?
Ai ama wai manalo.
O wai nā kumu, he aha nā ano papa.
He mau kumu Hawaii lako a pau, loia lako I nā kumuhana o like ole, ki ake aka mai, ka make makika, ka pili kanaka, a pela wale aku. A e noho ana wau ma ka hale noho haumana ma o.
Hiki no, makemake au e hele pū.
Ai, hiki no. Aloha ka ua.
Aloha.
Mahalo no ko hele ana mai.
No ka hau oli. Mai kai ke ia pāina. Pehea he ho'okani pila kau.
Ai, he pila kau e ho'okani pila kako.
He ka se, ka wha, ka se e hiku. Ka mai.
O e kala mai o kia ko o ana kala o kaipo. O ke la ko o hoa aloha o ke koa.
Ai,
O ke la o ke ave. Ua hele pū maua o ke ave i ka punana leo. Aka ua ne'e oia i Maui a ua noho wau ma Honolulu nei.
No leila, ua pukupu oi kia makahiki.
Ai, mai ke kula kai puni o Paia.
Mai ka ike la. Hele pū ana oi ke kula nui me kunane.
Ai, noho puana Maui ka hale noho haumana.
We, he nui no ka lea.
Ai.
Ua lava paha ka wala au. Kani ka pila kako.
Ai, o wai ke mele?
Pehea o ku'uhoa.
Ai, hiki no. Mahalo. Pehea o kou?
Oia mau no. No maluhi ki keiki. No ka mea ua au kai oia i ka ia la.
Oia, ka laki no o kou. Ai hea kona kai kaina o lei ohu.
Hele mea na oia mahape me kana ipo.
Oia?
Ai, he kane olu oia no hono ka amai. Oi kone ino? Mama, oi kone ino?
Oi?
O ka le ohu ipo.
Malu lani kone inoa.
Malu lani.
Pololi oi?
Ai o kou, ai ka mea inu mao, ai ka mea ai mahopi o ka hale. Ono loa ka lu au he'e, ua hana o tutu.
Oia. Mahalo e iki ana mākou ia oi.
Ai, hiki no. Aloha e tutu.
Aloha e kunane, e noho pū mea u. Make au e kamailia me oi. Pehea, ua lawa ka mea ai.
Ai, ua lava pono no. E mahalo nui e tutu.
No kia.
No kia paina.
E kunane, aloha nui au ia oi. O oi, ku umo o puna mua i puka mai ke Kulāiwi puni. Haaheo loa au ia oi. A o oi, ka mea kokua nui iau e malama ia pua lei lau o ke alohi. Mahalo nui au ia oi.
Hiki no. Don't forget, this is not the last time you'll see that vignette. We'll see it again in our next lesson, and where we clear up some other patterns that maybe you're still confused about, but aole pilikia, stick with us. Mahalo once again to our trustees of Kamehameha Schools, Bishop Estate, for providing us with this opportunity, and mahalo to Mamohao for my lole, and na kia koe ho'opo mai ka ia o ko apau. Ahui ho, aloha.